Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to this live stream today. Um, we're going to be looking at what is happening with the outage on the AWS. So basically, you would have noticed that AWS services are, a lot of applications and users as well are facing issues using their applications because of what is happening on AWS. Now, for those of you who don't know, AWS is one of the major cloud provider that we have out there. We have other cloud providers like Azure and GCP, that's Google's own provider. We have Oracle as well. But I think early on this morning, this issue started last night, I would say. It started last night at around, if you follow their tracking or their status updates, you realize it started at around 1 a.m. in the morning, PDT, that's Eastern time. We have that's around 1 a.m., a little bit 1:59 a.m. or so. Yeah, so today, this morning. And a lot of people have, if you just do a Google search, AWS, then you'll see that a lot of services are affected. A lot of people are, a lot of information online regarding this. And even AWS itself is tracking or is updating. You can get the progress of what is happening and what they are doing in order to fix the issue on their status page. You can see up to date information on their status page, what is currently happening, what has happened. But on this video, I just want to kind of give like my own story of how I experienced this and how I experienced this. First of all, let me double check. We are possible. It's possible we are streaming on Facebook. Let me see. So we want to go a little bit technical on what is going on and why this issue is currently happening. Give me a second to double check. Um, because earlier on I tried streaming and they said it was not possible to stream because of the issue we're having. All right, okay, I've confirmed that we're actually live on Facebook. So if you're watching this, you might have tried using your bank to do transaction and it didn't go through, or you might have tried to access one service or the other and you were prevented because and you didn't know why. And if you've watched the news, you will see what's going on. On my own personal experience on this particular issue has been okay. I got up in the morning. I kind of slept a little bit early yesterday by around 11 p.m. And I got up this morning. I didn't check my phone or go on my computer because I had to take somebody for an appointment. So on my way back, I love for taking my Starbucks coffee, and I normally order the of Starbucks coffee or using the Starbucks app. So I tried doing my app. What I normally do is I will order my coffee and then just use a drive-through to pick it up. So, but when I tried doing that this morning on my way back from this appointment, I tried it several times. It didn't go through, so I had to just park and do a drive-through and do a walk-in rather. So when I got to the desk, uh, I mean those serving coffee at the Starbucks, I call barista. So for those who don't know, I'm not talking about a lawyer because lawyers are called barrister in some part of the world. If you're watching this video, barrister is in this case is the people serving coffee at Starbucks. They're called barrister. So I tried to talk to this barrister about the issue, and he hinted me that there is a global outage, which I had no knowledge of prior to that, and that was my first encounter. So I had to actually pay my coffee at the desk rather than purchasing it through the app and picking up like I normally do. So when I got back, when I was coming back, I had to stop at my sister's place, and I met her. First of all, I met her on this website, which is on this website. Of course, this is Saint Benedict. It's a Saint Bernardino College website where she was trying to log in to register for some courses that she wanted to take. And of course, when she saw me, she knew that her solution has come. So when I and where she said I should help her figure out what's going on. She's been trying to log in, and it was not going. So initially, it's not on this website that she was on this page, particular page that she was on the logged in page, which is actually working. If you just type, something like SBB SCC, okay, d.edu. Okay, I mean, you can see that other part of the website working. She's tried logging in. She went on the website, tried logging in. It was not going. So when I came now, I discovered that on the for you to log in, they were having this issue. So I found this message. Canva is experiencing an issue due to an ongoing AWS Web Services incident. So then I just remember what the barrister told me at the Starbucks coffee shop. So and I went online. I just did the Google search AWS outage, and I saw that okay, this is what was going on. I then looked on news channel and realized that this was a huge global issue. It's not just affecting a particular location; it's actually global, and that's what I want to look at. What is actually happening in this video? So, and I just went and I went on AWS Web Services page themselves, and I looked at the status page, and I began to see what has transpired and why services are down. And I see AWS being very professional in their status update, and releasing update by almost an hour, or let's say within an interval of about uh, 30 to 1 hour. They are giving you steady updates, keeping their customers up to date with what is actually going on. Yeah, so that is how that this I encountered this particular. I would like to hear how you encounter if you have encountered this issue, and if you have, I want to just hear how you how it has affected you. Maybe you tried logging in or doing a transaction on your mobile app or your banking app, and you were prevented. So drop it in the channel in the comment section below. Okay. So let's hear what your experience is. Again, we want to cover what exactly is happening in the sense of the technical root cause of this issue. We want to, I mean, of course, based on the status update that AWS is giving, and want to also see why this specific region matters. I mean, this is happening due to what is happening in North Virginia, which is an AWS region. If you understand the AWS infrastructure, why this particular region is very important, matters much to the AWS infrastructure. We'll also look at what AWS engineers are probably doing right now to make sure that this issue is fixed or resolved. And we'll also look at critical lessons from a DevOps or site reliability professional point of view that you could learn. And I mean, we also want to sound some cybersecurity warnings, things you should be on the lookout for, because bad actors, or you call them scammers, would like to take advantage of some of this kind of scenarios to exploit and swindle a lot of people. Of course, maybe coming to you with some phishing messages, like letting you know that I mean, sending you personal messages or giving you calls and misleading you, or I mean, getting your information as well as maybe even your money. So you have to be on the lookout when things like this happen. So let's look at some of the technical breakdown. And I mean, trying to put this into perspective, we are looking at over 50,000 outage reports. If you look at this website we're looking at, Down Detector, if you go looking at it, you could go just browse on the website. You will realize that we're looking at over about 50,000 outage reports, and more than 1,000 companies are affected. This is not just a minor glitch. This is not just minor glitch. This is a systematic failure that exposes how fragile our digital infrastructure really is or can be. So, but what actually breaks for this kind of incidents to happen? What actually breaks, or what got broken? I mean, that is a question that most people are kind of like asking. So, and what I'm going to share is what we know so far based on the status update that we are seeing on AWS, the status update they are providing us. I mean, you could go on the page and you're able to find out. And based on this status update, the primary issue is a DNS resolution failure for for DNS for DynamoDB rather. It's a DNS resolution failure for DynamoDB endpoint in the US East 1. US East 1, which is the Virginia this thing we're talking about. You can see right here on the status update, US East 1 region. And you can see DNS endpoint uh, um, failure that you can see on the status page. So, but again, we're going to see why this, how does this affect, or I mean, how does this connect to many different applications that are online that you've seen them going down and so on. So, the second issue, let's talk about the issues first. The second issue is EC2 internal network, rather EC2 internal network. We can see EC2. We see. Yeah, we've talked about the D and the uh, we've talked about the DNS resolution failure. The second issue is EC2 internal network problem with particularly with a load balancer monitoring system. And the issue, of course, like I said, started at around I mean 3:30. That would be 11 a.m. Eastern time. And the root cause is an internal system uh, responsible for monitoring network load balancer health. And again, this might be a little bit technical for people who are not tech into the tech field. And for that reason, I'll kind of like want to break down a little bit. Now, why is the US one very special? Why is US one very special? US one is located in, like I mentioned earlier, in North Virginia, or as you can see in this documentation or this status update, is located in the Northern Virginia. And it is not just another AWS region. We have many AWS region, one in California, one in South America, in South Africa, and so on in many parts or different parts of the world, in Europe as well. Um, why is this particular region very important, or why is it very special? It's like I said, it's not just an ordinary region like any other one. It is AWS oldest and largest data center hub. It is the oldest and the largest center hub. And again, it is a home of global control planes for services like the IAM role, the IAM service, and the cloud front. And one very key part is that it is a default region for many AWS services. If you just go on AWS and you're creating a service, it is the default region that you'll be creating your services in. And it is also where many critical primitives like many critical primitive live. I mean, the home of many critical primitives. And then the thing here is that this kind of like other regions depend mainly on this particular region, and that is why we are seeing this cascading impact or effect across different regions. Why will one region fail and many other regions get affected? Is because of the dependency. And this is the key issue with when you're implementing a redundant system. You want to or you want when you're implementing a redundant system, the key thing you are trying to avoid is a single point of failure, where introducing a single point of failure, right, when you're implementing high availability in your system. So I haven't talked about why that is important. Again, Uh, and why is this particularly I'll call it a nasty situation? Is because one, DynamoDB is used for several things. Number one is session tokens. DynamoDB is used for session tokens, so you cannot log into your app. All right, even if the services, even if other services are healthy and are working properly, just the fact that you cannot log in, like in the case of my sister trying to log in to their school portal, and if you, probably many other services are working, but she can't log in because of maybe session token. You have also this the DynamoDB is also used for feature flags, right? Feature flags. So apps cannot determine what features to show to the user. It also handle real-time data. So fit and live updates kind of breaks. And again, it is used for authentication. So even if, like I said, your app is working and it's healthy, login will definitely fail, like in this sense. In the sense of my, when I tried to order a Starbucks, I was able to log into my app, but when I was, what was wrong was I could not place an order. So again, that is what is happening. Again, I would like to just hear what is happening from your own perspective. How has this affected you as a, if you're watching this video? How has this affected you? I want to see how it affects different people. I mean, listening to the news this morning, I heard it affected maybe airlines as well, and maybe many critical infrastructures. Okay, and now I mean, you'll be curious, of course, following the status update, you'll be curious as to what AWS engineers, if you're a DevOps engineer working in at AWS, you'll be curious as to what are the stages, what are the steps they are taking right now, and what are the stages they are going through in order to resolve this. Again, on the communication part or the communication point of view, they are very, very methodical in their communication, which is a very key aspect of incident response, key important aspect when it comes to incident response. But now let's look at what is happening from an AWS engineer point of view. What are they doing right now? So taking you through the incident response. The first phase in an incident, typical phase in an incident response is the incident detection, is the discovery phase, where of course they start talking about. Let's look at the first part here. Okay, this is more about the incidents update. So the first phase is when the issue got discovered, that it got discovered. And if you follow the incident status update, you realize that one of the first stage is the monitoring system that detects the increase in error rates. If you see on the first point here, it talks about increase in error rate and latency. This is detected by the monitoring system, and at this point you will have automatic alert triggered, and triggered on call engineers. This automatic alert will trigger on call engineers automatically, and they will be alerted about the issue, and the incident commander will be activated, and a war room will be established. And this update is coming from what is happening in the incident war room. The next phase, which they have also gone through, will be the triage and root cause phase, the root cause analysis. Right, the engineers will identify which have gone ahead to identify the EC. We talk about the EC2 internal network issue as well as a source of the issue. Now, digging deeper, they also found the specific subsystem, which is has to do with the load balancer health monitoring, detection. Okay, and they finally trace it to the DynamoDB DNS resolution issue, which is affecting many other regions which are dependent on this. And now the phase they are currently at, based on the status update again, will be at the mitigation phase. They are at the mitigation phase. It says we have restored a EC2 instance launch throttle to pre event level and all of that. So they're giving you update as to what they are doing, what they have done, and so on, what they have discovered, and so on. So if you read critically on this, you will see this, that they are on the mitigation phase. They are trying to apply fixes to the multiple availability zones in parallel. So again, they have throttled new EC2 instance launches to prevent overload and implementing DNS caching to flush recommendation and so on. They are doing gradual restoration, some and of course based on update as well, some zones already are being recovered or they are recovering. So when it comes to the communication, as you have seen, as far as the status update is concerned, you would notice that AWS is handling this communication very, very professionally. And they are giving regular status update every 30 to 60 minutes, within 30 to 60 minutes interval. They are specific about the technical details. They are not just giving you fake investigation. They are specific about the technical details, which is very important as far as accountability is concerned, especially given that they are handling a lot of a huge customer or client base, right? Again, clarity is very important when it comes to the next step. When it comes to the next step for your customers, again, and they are not just giving you a vague timeline. They are being realistic with their timeline, and they are not giving you quick promises or quick fix promises. They don't tell you, okay, they will fix this. I mean, they're giving you realistic timeline, and this is very important when it comes to communication as part of your incidents response. So, but based on the pattern we are seeing currently, some services already are showing recovery, and DNS I mean, we're seeing some services coming back to life. Some platforms that were maybe not even reachable at all are getting restored. We're seeing, I mean, we can predict that full recovery would probably take, I mean, you can never really know for sure, but we think within a window of maybe 2 hours or so, they should have gone through and resolved the issue, hopefully. Now, these are some of what are some of the lessons that we can learn from this? Again, maybe from the point of an engineering point of view, we can learn some key lessons. Number one lesson is single point of failure. Knowing that this incident is happening in one region and it is affecting multiple regions. And I think one of the key things that I would say AWS proud itself would be in the sense of multiple availability zones, multiple regions, and being able to implement this redundancy, and particularly coming to discover that an error in one particular region can have this impact on different regions. I mean, goes to tell us why a kind of minimizing or avoiding a single point of failure in your system is very, very important. So now this outage perfectly demonstrate I mean the I will call it the concentration risk, right? That even AWS, with all their redundancy and all their different, I mean, implemented by all their regions and so on, they still have architectural choice or choices that could create what we call a systematic vulnerability, what we call a systematic vulnerability. And it's a lesson that every engineer can learn. And what should you kind of do in this particular case? What you would do is probably go into kind of audit your dependency on single regions. How are your services dependent on a single regions? I mean, check how I mean, investigate your system to see the different points of failure in your system. Again, we're talking about lessons to be learned here. The second lesson to be learned is DNS is critical infrastructure. So DNS failure can kind of like make perfectly healthy infrastructure or system appear completely down. I mean, which makes it which drives me to my next observation, or what your action rather than observation. Action should be, you should be able to monitor DNS resolution for critical endpoints. It is important to monitor that. Have DNS fallback strategy as well. Because again, if your system is healthy but your DNS is failing, like we have seen in this case, your system will appear to be down. Understand your DNS dependency chain. How is it? DNS dependency chain. I mean, it is glaring that you can learn this from this particular incident. And also, the third lesson is multi-region strategy. Don't just build multi-regions for disaster recovery as most people would do. Build it for operational resilience. There's a difference between building for disaster recovery and building for operational resilience. If you build for operational resilience, even if there is an incident, you will still be you will still be operational. But if you build for disaster recovery, your system will go down, but of course you can now do back off. You can now recover from it using your multi-region, but it should be for operational. So how do you go about this? Implement DynamoDB global tables, cross-region replication for critical data, load balancers that can route around failed regions, and practice failover drill monthly and not just yearly, as in many people will implement it. Also, the third lesson is client-side resilience. Your application need to be defensive and not to be defensive, and by so doing, you're able to, I mean, you're able to prevent issues before they even kind of happen. You're anticipating issues that could happen, or what if. You're able to answer the what if questions ahead of time. Again, they are all lessons to be learned. I mean, we keep monitoring what is happening in the system, and you can have an update. Okay, we can have status update. You can see checks on issues that are being resolved. Impacted service one resolved. You can see how many issues have been resolved. 141 services are resolved from the status update. Now, I promised that I was going to talk about again, also this was also mentioned when I was listening to the news, and being somebody who is keen to security, or and I think it's always important to mention this as well. A lot of bad actors or malicious actors who want to take advantage of this kind of now talking to most regular users who want to take advantage to this. So you might start seeing some phishing attacks coming in, as maybe your email claiming to be, I mean, with coming to you with phrases like action required to restore service, or something like do this in order to get to do this. I mean, maybe or maybe even posing as let's say engineers or customer service from some of your service providers, and telling you that you can restore your application back to full functional state if you take this action by just clicking this link and so on. So a general public have to be on the lookout for those kind of things as well. And when it comes to service providers, they should have, just like we see AWS doing with status. I mean, this is AWS. There are your different applications, like the case of Starbucks and so on, like the case of St. Bernardino College. They are telling you, they're letting you know that their system is down due to this, and they are giving you reference to status update as to when this system may be recovered. If you get, because they are dependent on the AWS services until that is resolved, right? This is dependent on AWS services. So that is it for now. I just wanted to share my personal thoughts as to what this is happening. So we keep watching, and I hope this get resolved as soon as possible, because I also heard that a lot of services, like even airlines, are affected by these incidents. So thank you. As if you have been watching, I just want to get some reaction from the comment section. If you have been watching or you're watching this video maybe after we've gone offline, I would like to hear is to see some comments and get reaction as to how did this incident or is this incident affecting you, and how did you discover the incidents. All right, thank you everyone for staying here with us. Stay blessed.